So in this video, let's go look on how we can utilize power of FilterForge by creating custom filters. Example, when I have a text and I want to create this text, for example, neon lights, what I want to create. And okay, let's go just create black for now. We can preview here. So I create this kind of text, okay? And I want to create as it's look a little bit neon light for maybe steampunk or neon punk or cyberpunk, whatever you want to do. In Photoshop, you have several processes. You can kind of automate it, but it's still maybe you don't achieve it. And there's a power of FilterForge coming. The nice things about FilterForge that allow you to also create your custom filters if you don't have any other ones. And sometimes it could be difficult. So what I want to do in this video, just go over the filter, what I created, how it's used, and what is inside. So if you're interested, you can just download FilterForge, download that filter and use by itself. In this case, you'll understand how to use it, or you can also see how I created logic behind this, so you can create your own. So overall, right here, we have a text, and what's happening, the text can be different, can be white, any color, whatever. So we need to kind of work with this text. And what I did okay, let me go duplicate this text. I will just switch to the white. So we'll go to create all different kind of coloring on a text or other ones. And right here, for example, we have a white text, and we'll go to FilterForge. Let's go, and it says, of course, rasterization is what required for FilterForge. So we have rasterized from type 2, the other ones. And you can see right here, it's come up with a filter where you kind of apply it. In a FilterForge, if you go to settings, you have some options that is creator, allow you to kind of use some properties and parameters you can modify. Overall, you can see right here, we have it color presets, and this is basic preset. You don't necessarily need to change them. I also add a hue, so you can actually change hue easy this way. But if you want adjust some, you can go ahead and adjust those colors as well. And I'm going to represent highlights that is on the middle. You can see higher overall color and edge colors or sides. The saturation, brightness for the center, and I'll show you when you have a different type of the font. We'll apply it. Noise intensity, it just strikes a little bit add, and we'll look when we go to filter editor, we can look some of those. What most important can be, and this is because I work with a little bit other fonts, it is invert, dark font, solid background. It's in case if your font is not isolated. So let's look, cancel this very fast and look what's going on. Okay, let's create new background, fill up with the black so we can see white font. And you can see right here, this is actually isolated. So if we remove it, you can see the font or black font. In this case, it's isolated. So it already come up with a transparency. And you saw some black before. If you have a different color of font, of course, you can go ahead and use this one. Okay. But in this case, the system need to identify what font, and sometimes could be kind of funny, does not looking. So in this case, instead, we need set it is using dark font for isolation. So let's jump a little bit inside the filter editor. And for this one, you need to have professional versions or a little bit higher versions of FilterForge. I do recommend get it. You kind of will modify some or edit filters, see how they're done, and it's allowed you to do some of that. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll open it and edit. And right here, you can see this is actually structure for our filter. It is not the worst one. Sometimes it may take a lot of different nodes. If you're not familiar with the FilterForge, it is a node-based system. So it's meaning we have it flow from one component going to another, and so on. And generally, you have it one input. Right here, you can see it's image input, and you have it output as your result as well. Notice right here, as we look on the output, we don't see anything, and it's a reason because different color font. Let's see why it is important. If you notice right here, we importing image, we also have isolations to separate the font from the background. And right here we have a checkbox that is responsible for what color of the font, because we're going of 50% gray one way or another. So if technically you have it 50% gray, it's probably won't work. You will need to switch to white or the black font in this case. There are also additional options if you don't isolate it. Like currently have a transparent background. If you have a solid background, then we can work around this. And also if you need invert some of this alpha when we're creating. So for the dark font, let's go here, double tap click, so we will lock. Notice right here we have an I. This is tell me we lock preview in this. And now if we're going to click and says, hey, it's a dark font applied, you can see now it's worked properly, because what it does, dark font, is actually invert ours, because as we're expecting the font will be white, not black, on a transparent. So this is our expectations for the properly processing. I'm sure probably if we do very complex systems, we can isolate it and do all other ways. However, when you start one thing, when you start to add additional complexity, processing will increase how long it takes to process this, and we want a little bit speed up. So sometimes manual work will speed up overall work in ours. So you notice right here we have it, we'll look a little bit later on solid background, but right here we have a darker font enabled, so we can preview, and we have it our isolation going. This is block responsible for isolating from background based on threshold. We'll look a little bit in a second how it's work when we have solid background. But right here we separate our alphas, assign our colors for the color gradient, and color gradient overall going to sides, middle, and side. And this is working with let's say this work with a high map. So we have an elevation map, and which is accepting gradient. And elevation map, because we have an anti-aliasing applied to the font, that will determine as a little bit gray on the sides and stronger on the middle. If you don't have anti-aliasing on your font, if you have just solid line, so you won't have these gradients or darker on the sides a little bit. Just keep this in mind. We could put it blur to this if you needed. This is may enhance and preventing. So in this case, if you want to enhance, we can always go to the components open, take to the blur, okay, right here, and we can set this blur as a source and set now to same areas where this is going. So we'll just replacing all of them. Okay, right here we replace this node, replace node here, and one more. So this is our source. The problem if we do blur will take time to render, and it won't happen that often. But let's do just as example if we need to do. Notice now we have very funny fonts going all over places. We need control. This is the best way control. We have it slider. Okay, let's go put slider right there. We'll connect to the radius. It's what we connect on a blur. And we also want to use the remap because we don't need 100 points or whatever. I think the maximum we want to go about 3. So, and we're going to use a remap and value 3, so we can use it increasing right there. Okay, let me open, and when we click on the values, we can say from 0 to about 3 points, 3 pixels. If you have it very large, maybe 5, but I don't think 5 will work too much. And now whatever our remapping using, you can see right here we have it our value, and value will be changing from 0 to 5. So let's go like right here, 100%, it will be 5, which I think it's quite a bit number. So let's drop down maybe to 3 pixels only on a blurring maximum. But that way, if you need it, you can apply slightly gradient, like for example, a little bit more gradient. On this case, if we look, you can see there's some different, but always may have additional problems. And you can see it's not very sharp. So overall, I don't think we really need this blur here, but we can have it Okay, let's go. We'll just add additional if you need it point to this. Okay. But overall, again, I don't think we really need it, and mostly we'll probably keep it just at the 0 most time. But this is how you can add additional steps if you need it. Okay, let's go next. We have it also detect edges, and this is needed when we want to apply a little bit more darker. Because if you look on the tubes, neon tubes, how the glass work and everything in light absorption, you will have it a little bit darker on the edges. And this is what it does. It's take the edges, creating and blend them with a soft light to create this little bit darker edges, a little bit more as a tube. So next we're going to look overall color overlay, going to elevation map. Of course, we're using alpha always to isolate those tubes so they will be separately. Next, we're using couple blurs. We're using the front and back blur. And if you're looking, this is will utilize, of course, screen mode on the back. So it will apply kind of blurring or light distribution on the back, a little bit light spill. It's what happened. I was considered to add a little bit more bigger blur, but after testing, decide not to do it, just keep it this smaller. And we have another blur. And you can see one a little bit smaller, one bigger, because smaller will go on the top overlay and bigger will go on the bottom. It's give it a little bit better, this kind of color distribution, like it's light spilling all over places. And of course, our mode is soft light for up front and a screen on the back. So it's creating a little bit nicer distribution on this. Next, right here, this is actually creating, you can see kind of like noise. In some cases, because it's a glass, maybe glass is not perfect or other things, it will create highlights. And this is just created from strikes of those highlights. You can see kind of imperfection in the tube. And for the some small thin font, it maybe does not represent the strongest. But if you have it a little bit thicker, this actually add nice details to this. And of course, you can always take these details and stream down if you need it. Okay, again, we'll use alpha to set those just to specific areas. And now we start combining all things together. So this is first combining all our glowing behind to our tubes. Next, we'll take those strike lines. So you can see right here, we're applying them to our tubes as well. Now we'll taking edge, those add deeper edge, applying to our font. Additional filter, I put it, this is our hue and saturation. Sometimes instead we're going and change all these colors all the time. It's much easier just go on a hue and just have it slide of the hue. Okay, let's go click save, and notice as a save we add this additional component right here, parameter available to access. Again, because it's a dark font, let's enable check box, and you can see right here we have it, our dark font is enabled and it start popping up. How I said before, hue, we can change color on a hue. It's much easier to just go and can change colors. And overall, these ones, what you want to do, it's keep it them a little bit in luminosity level. You want, of course, a little bit darker luminosity on the sides and brighter on the highlights and center. You can always modify, play a little bit more with this. Saturation, sometimes you want pop-up saturation less mode, like lights dim or off or whatever. So this way you can play around. Brightness, it's this center elements. We can decrease brightness on the highlights on the glass related this. Of course, our noise intensity, and you can see right here we can have it quite a bit strikes going in. Keep it down. Noise, it's the strongest. You can see there we have it a little bit stronger edges now for edge intensity. It's what the other slides was. Blur center, if we have it too strong, and mostly this again will affecting when you have a very thick font, we can look later. And also the weight, so this is too more for the thicker fonts. Actually, let me take this intensity down on the noise. We can affect thickness, and notice the mapping, what I said, it's only 5. So because I don't want it adjusting, I just want kind of have it different presets, and that is we'll have it from strongest to less stronger. So let's go put it like maybe on a 2, and same blurring, it just blur a little bit edges on a center. Here, invert alpha. This is just invert our alpha, and it's depend what you're using for. You can isolate it or invert it. Darker font will look before solid background. It's allowed you to isolate from solid background, so you can see oscillation happen by value, because this is where we have it items, but it won't work right now. And background oscillations, it's holding threshold on a luminosity level or gray level. It's a depend. If you don't have it absolutely black or white, then you can use it background oscillation to this. Let's look on this in a second. So let's go cancel. We'll go a little bit faster. And at this point, I can go and create, for example, just black background. Let's create a white font. And I'm going to combine in. Okay, like right there, we'll go create a brand new layer right here. And this is just black. For example, if you create it with a white font, this is not oscillated, it's already combined everything. So let's go ahead, go filter, FilterForge. We're going FilterForge 10, opening. And of course, you'll see something different here. Our font maybe kind of look okay, but it still be. We want to click on solid background. It will help us oscillate. You can see it's a little bit better tubing without. Even oscillation still happened, but I wasn't happy how does not look like just a funny font. I think with the oscillation, it does provide a little bit more glassy kind of look for us. It's already set on about 50% for the gray, but you can play around. You can go more oscillation or less oscillation in the font, and you can see it does have some elements affecting, and it's will affect even absolutely black because we merge layers together and we apply some anti-aliasing in the font, so it will affect a little bit on the edges of the font when you do this. We don't need invert alpha on this. In case if you have it with white and you see like this kind of looking inversions, you can always click on invert alpha if it will require for this. And font was white on a black, so it's not a dark font, it's unchecked. Always right here, same, everything exactly will be the same as before. You can go ahead and modify all of these properties as you need it. Okay, so let's go ahead and just as example, we're going to Control Command I, just inverse this. And when we're going to again filter, FilterForge, will be exactly similar options, only you see right here inverse. So we can always says, okay, we want invert alpha for this. Okay, and this is not dark font, so, or it's, I think it's a dark font was, okay. So we can click and invert some stuff and apply it, so it will see if it will work properly. And you can see how the inversions also work. Oops, I forget to check solid background, because that way properly alpha set. And you can see right here, it's a set and it's a dark font on a white background, solid background. That's what we need to specify, dark font, solid background. And now we have it same look. Again, this is all work with a mask and isolations. That's how they perform. This is probably was the hardest part on this, to create a kind of filter that can work with a different type of backgrounds or whatever people use it. Preferably much easier if you just have a simple font without like anything, you know, not oscillated background. But again, in some case you have no choice, like right here, maybe just text, maybe somebody just write out of with a hand, and you can use this way. So right here we have a gray background, which is not black and white, and same we go inside. Let's preview here. And you can see what's happening at this time. It's because background semi-transparent. It does not work this well. We'll go to select. Before do this, it is again, it's on a black font. Okay. So for this, we'll want says it's dark font. We want says solid background. And you can see it's already isolating, but because we have it isolation property, so you can go more one way or another and isolate it based on a gray level. So you can actually specify what luminosity level you want threshold to work and kind of illuminating. The rest, it will be work exactly same. So this is kind of fun font, and you know what, let me do this way. We'll just enable this. Let's go to select that font. Okay, and we'll go to filter. We'll see how long it will take it. It says, okay, I will rasterize this. Of course, we need to rasterize afterwards. Okay, right here we'll go settings, and it's all set properly for us. So it is not a dark font. Oops, I don't need to lock this. You can see that is look properly. We'll just intense. And by the way, right here is a preset, and I set them for the dark font, light font, isolated background. So you can just click in and go this way, or different coloring. And when you're done, also presets, nice things about this. If you create your own preset, you can click right there. It says add preset or add, apply, multiply. I wish presets will have a name, so I can go on top and says, hey, this is the dark mode preset, or this is a light mode preset, or so on. So you can use it, but currently you cannot do this. Right here you can see it's loading, and again, it's take a little bit time now to render because all those blurs, all those blending modes, they need to take time to process. It's the reason why I original font that if you download that filter, you won't have it, the blur for the anti-aliasing age on the font, because you hardly will use it, but it's still adding all this render time or processing time. So we need it optimized. We need to remove some stuff that we don't use it in our application for this. Okay, so right here processing is done with FilterForge, and because it's using system color overlay with the, if you remember, with our kind of gradient with a high field overlay, so it will take whatever font we had before color for our font, and it will overlay with a new color. Okay, so we have it, our font, for example, here applied. Sometimes it's better just look with some images. Let's go just drag and drop one of the image. We'll go put it in some compositing work example. Okay, I think that should work. And we can take our font that we created and we can put it on, and you can see actually it's matching quite a bit nicely. So you can take work and let's, you know what, let's put this just slightly down so we have it a room. You can create it, your font, adjusting, just like right there, maybe putting. And of course, edit transform. We're going to distortion for this one because we need to kind of matching these straight lines right there. That's what we want to do, kind of like right there. I think they will matching. Okay, let's go shrink a little bit lower. I think right there maybe will work. There you go, we can adjust, but overall you can see it's already, even with this simple adjustment work. You want to switch to the screen or soft light, whatever you like your mode applied. We have a box, but overall, generally you can see we have a very nice, beautiful neon light effect. So overall, here's that short video. We're going over just to look how to create overview in a FilterForge about neon light. FilterForge is you can download it free 30 days trial, all filters, and I think it's like thousands filters there. They're all free for you to use, so you can download and use it. And I'm going to prepare a special video to showing how you can actually get FilterForge legally for free. And it's very simple overall. Actually, you're just creating a lot of different filters. You're creating take 30 days trial, create filters, submit them. If your filters is highly usable, if you create nice filters, then you can receive a special points, and you can redeem those points for free versions or free live update. And you'll be surprised how easy it's to do and how easy to obtain those points. For example, of course, my versions is now lifetime free because I have it plenty, but I create so many points now that very often I just redeem them for additional license and then give away those license to another creators. So it is to promote. It's actually very nice tool. I like a lot. Like right here, even this image, what you're looking right here, this is I'm using create special phototone color correction system. And same thing, go on FilterForge, apply with a couple clicks, and done deal. Now you have it very fast way. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of overview and see about this new filter that created, and inspire you to create something, your own filters that you can go ahead and use it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to YouTube channel, it will help me a lot, and also just support on Patreon. Again, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching this video and have a fun time.